And we know, for a fact, that between now and one generation from now we are going to add 2 billion more people to the planet, 2 billion more high consumerist individuals that want nothing more than you and I want. Western-style aspirants who are not going to be the ones who have any power hold or any manipulative ability to reach geographically beyond their immediate household or, at best, neighborhood. They may have great dreams and ideas, but practically speaking, if we have so little time, and I think we do, and I am not alone in that persuasive ideology, based on voluminous and good data sets, then, we are looking at a dead end, unless there is some radical transformational power that lures us in and persuades us with some form of sublime alternatives that we can hang our hats on and believe in.
The power does not come from the outside. The power of transformation comes from inside and is triggered by crisis.
We are in the midst of that crisis. We know that.
Yes, but the decisive factor is the level of the crisis. It does not have to be devastating. A non-acute, non-life-threatening crisis can also trigger changes already because people are becoming aware of it. Perceived crises. Such crises need not be fatal, or even violent.
We know that we are in the thick of the Anthropocene. There is no question about that. The rate of extinction is unprecedented, and we are the sole cause.
Yes, the rate of the present extinction is unprecedented. But no, we are not the sole cause. It is the beginning of the extinction, or better, transformation of our present state of the solar system, which culminates in the next 30 to 80 million years. We cannot be sure that after this transformation our Earth will still exist. And even if yes, the bacterial life will be the highest evolutionary level on the completely renewed planet, with a new chance to re-evolve to higher levels again. But don't worry about that relatively far future. We have still many thousands of life as a species here on our beautiful Earth, provided that we will become clever enough to return to our natural coexistence with this Earth again.
We are talking about an already perceiving crisis, and we suspect that it is triggered by obsolete leadership. This calls for triggering systemic change, a transformation. The people who are in power are seldom open to transformation. This is the dynamics of change and evolution also in a population. The dominant species just maintains itself until it collapses or becomes extinct. But new cultures are growing up, new generations are springing up at the periphery from the ground. This does not necessarily mean young people. The new cultures can be people of any age. But they are more likely to consist mainly of young, because they are the ones who do not have a vested interest in maintaining the dominant culture.
I am sorry, Irvin, but I cannot share your optimism in that point. Neither new populations, nor new cultures emerges from the ground. They are always children necessary for both cases. Children growing in loving them families, families giving them chance to develop themselves to new, self-confident, conscious members of their society. The natural multi-generational family is the right level of our evolution, where we have to start to optimize our present evolutionary task, our evolutionary jump into the next evolutionary step, after the terrible medieval civilization, with her wars, slavery, and genocides, has been finally over. Cosmologically seen, this new level of our first global civilization has began in the year 1989. But demographically, it will take yet maybe the next 100 years or so, to reach a stable population of the civilization, distributed around the entire world.
There are very few who are willing to concede that we are at risk, because you do not get research grants for saying those things. It is very dangerous to one's continued funding. Nobody wants to hear that we are the problem. I know colleagues who are waiting until they retire to say such things. And because there is this basic knee-jerk reaction across all of the sciences and all academia, that is the leadership system that says, you don't want to daunt or chill the upcoming students, the children, you want to give them hope. It is almost a blind mantra of hope.
But this hope is paradoxical. Real hope is in the crisis.
From a very wise vantage point,
You have to recognize the dynamics. The dynamics is biological evolution, paralleled by the evolution of consciousness, and these evolutions encounter crisis points, non-linear cusps, and these are the templates of transformation.
yes. So, we are at this incredible turning point, and if we should fail to make that change, this gesture of manifest openness as you call it, then we are royally at fault, and future generations will look back, in awe, at our irresponsibility. Remember, those future generations are fast upon us and are already looking back at us from the near future. This turning point is a prime conditional that can segue to pain or joy. There are 7.4 billion individuals, 7.4 billion human natures. You might argue that we are all genetically basically identical, yet a single decision by a single individual can change everything. Napoleon can order hundreds of thousands of young men into Moscow in winter and see them never return.
Fortunately, we can already hope today that such murderous decisions of an individual cannot mobilize hundreds of thousands of young men nevermore.
So those are just some of the indications. We just saw the latest Population Reference Bureau and UN Population Fund reports. I follow the demography closely because it is a core ecological crisis. You can have all the best conservationist practices on Earth, but if the total fertility rate continues as it is, fueling a runaway population train that is clearly going to reach 10 billion, possibly even 11 billion, of ungainly, largely carnivorous Homo sapiens by the century's end, that is assuming we adopt an optimistic attitude and assert that there will be, for humans, a century's end, then all of that conservation is going to be undermined. All the hard work by those thousands of NGOs and humane societies and tree-planting organizations will be for naught. The time frame is what worries me, Irving. I am worried. We are in the red zone, the hot zone.
Yes, we are. We are in the red zone on the scale of the level 9. But also on the level 8 of our cosmic hierarchy. We have to accept this knowledge of our new paradigm science, in order to better understand what is going on in our future on the cosmic scale.
My point is, for tens of thousands of years we have been reading the book, and it is a wise book. By the book I am metaphorically referring to all of the received inspirations of our collective ancestries and genealogies, the many anecdotes and caudal residuum of tales, within every family, that has suffered, and lived, and created, and investigated, and provided nurturance for the subsequent generation. We have passed down this remarkable story of humanity to one another, and yet, we still have not learned. I mean, Irvin, how do you see us making it through this infernal chute?
Surely not without a serious reduction of the population. But there could be vast emergent trends bringing about a rewiring, so to speak, of our relations with one another and with nature.
Do you believe that?
The very poorest populations, the most underprivileged people, will be difficult to induce to change, and people at the top will be difficult to get to change as well. The poor cannot readily change, they have few alternatives, deprivation has reduced the available options. The rich, because they have a vested interest in the status quo. The poorest and the richest may not be able to master the art of changing in time. But there is a very large core that will be able to shift, and I believe will shift.